guided or instructed by the angel, Jibril Islam. So while he delivered all the hadith, is it that at the same time he was guided, or how he attained such knowledge?
This is mentioned in the Holy Quran. That's a good question. The brother is asking that the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ didn't have any formal education. So where did he get all that knowledge from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states clearly in the Holy Quran, and Allah Almighty taught you what you didn't know. So the teacher of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the messenger, the teacher of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Angel Jibril, peace be upon him. This is repeated, by the way, in many places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whether it was on matters of beliefs or worships or morals and etiquettes. And the concept of moral and etiquettes is highly explained in the Holy Quran and by the hadith of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where in the Holy Quran we find many places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fine-tuning the morals and ethics of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the best way. And the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he said that Allah Almighty has educated me and in the best possible way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and taught him. And this is, by the way, mentioned also in the Holy Quran regarding other prophets and messengers, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about the unseen, al-ghayb, that nobody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not let anyone observe or see the unseen except whom He chooses as messenger, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then He shows part of His unseen through these prophets and messengers as proof of their prophethood or carrying the messages. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now, what was the other one? Now,
about the shigar. One of my friend,
the marriage of shigar.
Actually, the situation is that his parents asked him to marry a girl. And in turn, the girl's cousin will marry his sister. So, and then and he wanted to clarify whether this comes under shigar, and also because they are saying no, the mahar is different for both. But the condition is still remaining that he first has to marry the girl, then his.
So they appointed mahar, but still they made that agreement that they will cross marry.
Yeah, the condition still is there.
Yes, the brother is asking about a form of marriage called shigar. And the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ forbade this. This used to exist in some community, and sadly it still exists in some communities still today. At that time, the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ forbade the marriage of shigar, and he said there is no shigar in Islam, no such marriage in Islam. The concept of shigar is that the guardian of a lady gives the woman in marriage to someone in condition that someone, that guardian, gives a woman to him, or to his son, for example, or to his cousin. So it's like an agreement for cross marriage. They provide a lady, and they have to provide a lady in exchange, and that is how the shigar is done, which is forbidden in Islam. Now, in the original shigar, there is no mahar, so the actual mahar is the exchange itself. So usually they don't appoint a mahar, so it will be one for another. As we said, this is, all scholars agree that this is not permissible in Islam, all of them. There is no dispute regarding this so far. Now, there is another form of shigar, which is semi-shigar, or similar to a shigar, or one-way shigar. In it, the agreement is the same, however, there is mahar for each one of them. So the contract, formally, the contract seems okay. Only that condition is there. This is disliked and it is forbidden according to some scholars, while most scholars say the marriage itself is valid. On the second one. The first one, no. Most of them say this is not valid at all, except for one opinion. I think it is of Imam Abu Hanifa. So in general, this should be avoided, whether it is the full shigar or the one-way shigar. Both of them, those are not the correct way for a marriage. And this is actually not in favor of the ladies. It's only looking for the favor of the men. something that the Messenger of Muhammad ﷺ forbade greatly and directly in authentic hadith. And furthermore, the guardian is actually not taking good care of those under his guardianship. The guardian is supposed to seek the benefits and the interest of the girl, not his own or his son or his cousin or whosoever. He should care mostly about those under his guardianship. So he is not taking care, not doing his responsibility, and in fact he is betraying the trust of guardianship that is entrusted with him. So all these forms should be avoided. Now, in some cases, it happens that there is an agreement between all partners. They don't mind marrying each other. If this is the case, there is no harm. However, they should not be linked together. So each marriage and each contract should be separate, and there is no harm in Islam. Somebody marrying a woman from another family and another man from that family marrying a woman, as long as they are not linked together, not conditioned together, there is no harm in it. Else, as we have mentioned, those are the different statements. And scholars also differ regarding the validity of it. The first shigar, most scholars, the majority of scholars say that it's invalid. Even if it happened, this is invalid. As if no marriage has happened. Except for Imam Abu Hanifa, he allowed this. So the validity, he says, it is haram, etc. But the marriage itself, if it has been done, it is valid. The one-way shigar, no, most scholars say it is valid, acceptable. The only difference is, if I recall, the Maliki scholars, regarding the one-way shigar, the Maliki scholars state that it's invalid as well. However, they differentiate. If the marriage has already been consummated and done, that is different. If it was not done, it will be broke. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So as we say, this is not the correct way and not the allowed or permissible way in Islam to conduct marriage. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. The brother first now.
Regarding reading the Quran, somebody always put their head like this. This allowed.
The movement while reciting the Holy Quran, it is better to avoid it. There is no harm. It does not affect the recitation itself. Sometimes a slight movement is done naturally, without a mean. There is no harm in this at all. But intentionally doing it, this should be stopped. So the person should try himself not to move. If a natural movement happened for any reason, there is no harm, inshallah. But in general, he should avoid that. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best now. Nobody carries the burden of another. Yeah. Yes. Good. That's a good question. Yes. That's a good question. In an authentic hadith, the Messenger of Muhammad forbade crying beyond the natural sadness or weeping. But when some people overreacting or shouting or hitting themselves, etc., that is in way mourning of a dead person. So the Messenger of Muhammad forbade that. And in one of the narration that if the family will do that, the dead person will carry that burden, the burden of the people who are crying or mourning over him exaggerately. Now, Aisha radiallahu anha, when she heard that, she said, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that no soul carry the burden of another soul. So what is the meaning of this hadith? This is an authentic hadith. The meaning, scholars have already mentioned that, because at that time some people used to ask their family to mourn them a lot so that they will be shown how much they loved them, how much they were precious to them and how much they were loved. And sometimes they will hire people to cry. They pay them money. Actually, yes, this is still in existence till today. You'll never believe that. Till today, there are special women, they are hired to cry and make people cry. Unbelievable, subhanAllah. Unbelievable. So the Messenger of Muhammad forbade that altogether. And he said this narration. That narration means if he ordered it, or if he made it a will, or if he told them about it, or if he knew that they will do it and he didn't forbid them. In these cases, he will carry that burden. But if he didn't know any of that and they did it, of course, there is no burden in him whatsoever. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best now. We'll take one or two of the questions that we have before, and very quickly. This is a question saying about the meaning of the verse in the Holy Quran, هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. This verse is in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks and He describes the relationship between man and woman, husband and wife. And the Messenger of Muhammad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they are remnant for you and you are remnant for them. Remnant, similar to a form of clothing. Clothing near us. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says libas, from a general name for clothing, all type of clothing. Interestingly, when some of translations of the Holy Quran, it's mentioned that the women are like pants for you and you are pants for them. See, it's very problematic to try to translate and be so specific. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says libas, and libas in Arabic, something that is attached, not only clothes. This is something that is attached to you, and it is used either as shield or as covering or as protection. These are the benefits of it, different form of it. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the women are a form of covering and shield and protection for you, and you are the same for them. Now this is one of the most beautiful descriptions of the relationship between male and female. So in it you feel tranquility, you feel peace, you feel safe within the family, and you are protected from sins and wrongdoings, and you are this cloth. How close is the cloth to you? How clinging, how attaching you are, as if you are one, right? When you move, when you take decisions, when you go up or down, your cloth goes with you or stops behind. You are together, right? Like one. So here, that example is giving of the closeness and the attachment between the two. With these meanings that we have mentioned, that is the place of tranquility and peace, and the covering and shield and protection. So that single word carries all these meanings together. So that is that is the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to that relation in the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Could you please explain the last ayah of Surah Al-Muzammil? Yes, the last ayah in Surah Al-Muzammil, we conclude with this, it's a long ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks that He knows about the time the Messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the followers of the Messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are standing up in extra prayer at night. Now, before we go with the length of the ayah, we need to understand when it was revealed. In the beginning of Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the beginning of Surah Al-Muzammil. The beginning of Surah Al-Muzammil speaks to the Messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and orders him to pray at night, stand up at night. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, stand up the night in prayer except for a little part of it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a specific measurement, half of the night, or slightly less, or slightly more. So what was obligated at the time, many scholars believe that it was obligatory at that time. In the beginning of Islam, before the salah was obligated, so this came on, and it was obligatory to pray at night. Night prayer, anytime between the time of Isha and the time of Fajr. So anytime, late night till the morning, you can pray. The specification was set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at half the night. So half the night is usually 6 hours, 7 hours, more or less. Half the night, slightly less or slightly more. Clear? Now this remained for approximately 12 months. 12 months. 1 year. After 12 months, as the lady Aisha radiallahu anha reported, she says, after 12 months, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieved them from this burden. This verse, the last verse in Surah Al-Muzammil was revealed. Verily your Lord knows that you pray less than 2/3 of the night and half of the night, and those who are with you. So you are not keeping the very exact timing. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains that you cannot, it's very difficult for you to keep that timing, etc. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieved you because some of you are busy, some of you are ill, some of you are sick, some of you are travelers, some of you are passing around working, they have work in the morning. If they stay the whole night awake or half the night awake, they will not be able to do that. And some of you are fighting, etc. So you are busy in your livelihood, in your obligation, everything. You will not be able to withhold it. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieved you from that. It's no longer obligatory. It remains as voluntary, yeah? You can, if somebody would like to, fine. But it's no longer obligatory. And instead, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligated the 5 salah, the daily salah that we are performing now. So it was a relief from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us, the believers, the Muslims. Imagine if every night you have to pray for 5 hours or 6 hours, each and every night. When will you be able to work or study or go about? It will be very difficult, much more difficult. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us of His favor when He made the religion easy. It's no longer the same burden. That is why when you recite the beginning of that surah and the end of that surah, you understand the beauty of it. This is one of the reasons why some of the old or the rules in the beginning are still there in the Holy Quran, to know the context, how it happened and how it graduated. We'll conclude with this. That is the verse. If they are speaking about this part of the verse, it's a long one. We'll conclude just with one point, interesting point. Because in this surah, one word is repeated only twice in the Holy Quran. One of them is in this surah. Only twice, one single word. That is the word thaqeel. Thaqeel means heavy. Heavy. In the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, verily we will reveal upon you a heavy speech. We will reveal upon you a heavy speech. Heavy speech, that is the Holy Quran. Heavy means when it comes to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it was very difficult for him, as explained. When the wahi comes to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is very difficult and very stressful for the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam till he is relieved from that. It's an experience out of this world, very difficult, and it takes lots of energy from the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that is one explanation. The other one is that the Holy Quran has many rules, regulations, and commandments, etc. So it is also heavy to be practiced in real life. In this surah, for example, the prayer of the night was revealed. So the commandments needs a strong person with a strong faith who is ready to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do. So that is the explanation of this part, right? Now this word, the same word, is again repeated, but in Surah Al-Insan, the last part of Surah Al-Insan, in another verse. And in it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about people. He says, verily, those people are loving the early world, this world that we are in. The early, the quick one, the one that we are having now. And they leave behind them a day that is heavy. So again here, heavy is used as description for what? The day of judgment. A heavy day. So you have here a heavy speech and you have a heavy day. It is never repeated in the Holy Quran except in these two places. One of them about the hereafter. Of course, it's extremely heavy, very difficult, very stressful. The accountability, the standing, the judgment, the questioning, the responsibility, then the sirat, walking on top of it, etc. Lots and lots of things are going on throughout that day. So it's a heavy day. Clear? With lots of burden. Now, it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing our attention that to be safe in that heavy day, you need to follow this heavy speech. This is the key to passing there. This is a reminder from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interestingly, in both surah, another verse is repeated. That verse is speaking about the Holy Quran, saying, verily, this is a reminder. The Holy Quran is a reminder. So anyone who wishes, then he should take a path to his Lord. Plan for your life to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for anything else. This is repeated in both surahs. So as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is paying our attention with these similarities in these surah. There are many other similarities between these two surah, but those 2 points stands out. It's a reminder that the key to success in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through the Holy Quran, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because the way to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the Holy Quran. The way to understand the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the Holy Quran. The know to way what to believe, what not to believe, through the Holy Quran. The know to understand about your relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the Holy Quran. The way to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you, through the Holy Quran. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want from you, through everything. That is the original. That is the guidelines. So that is why it's a reminder for anyone who wishes and who should take a path to his Lord. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to his divine truth and make us good for ourselves and everyone around us. Ameen, ameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira.